Alexei Arestovich, Zelensky's senior advisor, resigned after admitting on live TV that the Ukrainian air defense was responsible for destroying the apartment in Dnipro. This morning, Arestovich issued an apology on Telegram, promising to be stricter with the information I voice from now on. Apparently, it didn't work. Just 3 hours later, he wrote, "I want to show an example of what civilized behavior is. A fundamental error, then resignation." The most convincing explanation so far is that Arestovich knows the Kiev clown car is heading off a cliff and saw an opportunity to exit. You might remember on our last stream, we covered an incident in which as the Ukrainians initially claimed, they said it was a Russian missile that was launched directly into an apartment building in Ukraine and killed and injured many civilian Ukrainians. Okay, so here is a photo of the destruction of what took place when that Russian missile hits that apartment. Oh wait, no, sorry. This isn't the apartment building. This is actually Kiev. This is actually Kiev after the results of the Euromaidan U.S.-backed riots and coup in 2013. My bad. So, common mistake. This is a result of U.S. Imperialism and regime change events, and the Georgian snipers that they sicked on average Ukrainians that were protesting at Maidan, and the coup that they instilled in the Maidan protests. Sorry, my bad. This is the actually the photographs of the disaster, the destruction that struck Ukraine just the other day. And this is very sad. So there were multiple people who died. There were multiple casualties, and it was very sad. But we quickly learned that it actually wasn't a Russian targeted missile strike on that building. Okay, it made no sense. I mean, for those of you who didn't see that segment I did, the missile that hit the building was a Kh-22 supersonic missile, travels at Mach 4.6 speed, so it's very fast. It is nearly hypersonic. It travels at usually high altitudes, and then it attacks again at Mach 4.6 speed in vertical dives. So the Soviets created this missile. It's a huge missile. They created the missile to blow up Navy carriers, U.S. Navy carriers. So the fact that it hit this building shows that it did do, and it would, no matter what, it was going to do a lot of damage. But we actually learned that it was not a result of the Russians targeting the building. No. In fact, as Alexei Arestovich, the senior advisor and PR doctor of Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, put it, that was not the case at all. Ukraine, Alexei Arestovich here, he admits that the destruction of an apartment building in Dnipro was the result of the actions of the armed forces of Ukraine, and I'll let him speak for himself. So it was impossible to shoot down that missile in Dnipro, and Alexei Arestovich says, no, it was shot down. It fell on the building. And when it fell, it exploded. Oh. Shucks. Well, that doesn't align with our story. I mean, a few hours ago, we literally said it was the Russians who directly targeted civilians. Now, of course, that doesn't make sense, because why would the Russians waste a Kh-22 supersonic missile on an apartment building when they know it's only going to have negative consequences? Civilians will die, and they're not going to be targeting the infrastructure of Ukraine, which was their intended goal with all the other missiles that they launched, which was like over 100, I think, missiles that they launched throughout the day in Ukraine. Well, I guess facts are a stubborn thing for the Kiev regime, because, again, when Alexei Arestovich, the senior advisor and propagandist for the Zelensky regime, said this, he said, no, it is possible that we shot down the missile. In fact, we did shoot it down. It fell on the building, and when it did fall on the building, it exploded and fell on those civilians. So when he said that, guess what happened? We saw that the next morning, or 2 mornings after, Alexei Arestovich, Zelensky's senior advisor, resigned after admitting on live TV that the Ukrainian air defense was responsible for destroying the apartment in Dnipro. This morning, Arestovich issued an apology on Telegram, promising to be stricter with the information I voice from now on. Apparently, it didn't work. Just 3 hours later, he wrote, "I want to show an example of what civilized behavior is. A fundamental error, then resignation." The most convincing explanation so far is that Arestovich knows the Kiev clown car is heading off a cliff and saw an opportunity to exit. Arestovich's declarations that Zelensky declared war on Christianity and that anti-Russian discrimination in Ukraine means millions of people will never be completely loyal to the regime suggests a more persistent effort to escape their orbit. Okay. Congratulations now to Alexei Arestovich for going from Ukrainian presidential advisor to joining me on Ukraine's official hit list in less than 24 hours. So now Alexei Arestovich, in this womanly garb, I guess, is now on the Mirodvirets website, which is a Ukrainian government operated website that operates as a kill list of the official enemies of the state of Ukraine, many of which on that website have already been assassinated or killed by the Ukrainian government or their proxy forces or their intelligence SBU apparatus. Okay. But there were, conflicting claims. So Zelensky's press secretary said the president's office dismissed Arestovich from his position as a freelance advisor. So they're claiming he didn't resign. The Kiev Independent came out and said controversial advisor Arestovich resigns after false claims on Dnipro missile attack. Donbass Davushka posted this and said, Ukraine in a nutshell when you throw your own under the bus. Controversial false claims. Okay. So yes, top Zelensky aide was resigned or kicked out, one or the other, after these comments, but also after this. This is quite something, and I never thought I'd hear this from Alexei Arestovich, but here you go. This was right before he chose to resign or was fired or whatever happened. He said Ukraine is acting like total assholes towards its own citizens. Zelensky declared the war on Christianity. It's when the SSU entered Kiev, Pechursk, Lavra, and indiscriminately recorded 6 million of our citizens as collaborators, okay? Referring to the Russian Orthodox Church. So take a listen to this right here. I mean, Arestovich not sounding too dissimilar to all of you and to me on the dive. So let's see what he had to say here. He said, what about the people whom we condemn, to whom we say, you are assholes, change your identity, otherwise we are for ourselves. We do not answer that you brought Russia here, you are helping Russia. You want the death of everything Ukrainian because of you. Because of you, our guys, and we... Okay, so the English is a little bit broken, but you will understand the general sentiment as I continue reading. And we want them to be for us after that? Well, that's crazy. There is such a narrative, well, let them go to Russia. Well, they will go to Russia. Or they'll make Russia come here. And then what? Who is the idiot in this situation? Arestovich ponders. Do you understand? We have a very unreasonable national policy and regional policy, work policy, on self-identification. Even the Soviet Union conducted it better. There are no official languages in Israel, but the second language that is actually used everywhere is Arabic. That is the language of their enemies. Maybe the Jews know something and understand what we do not. We say that all Russians are bad and there are no good Russians, but how about the ethnic Russians in Ukraine? How do they hear us when we say that? Or Russian speakers, what do they hear? You are the enemy. That's what they hear. He takes out his Ukrainian passport, remembers his cousin who died near Bakhmut, being a Russian-speaking soldier of the armed forces of Ukraine, and says, fuck this country with such feeds. And nowhere does he decide to say in Ukraine, but in hidden opposition in Ukraine. So he's saying, like, these people, they'll stay in Ukraine, but they're going to be oppositional to the government because Ukrainians behave like complete assholes, according to Arestovich, with their own citizens. That's everybody. Zelensky declared war on Christianity. This is when the security service of Ukraine, the SBU, entered Kiev, Pechursk, Lavra, and other places, the Ukrainian Church of the Moscow Patriarchate. In view of the complex processes that take place there, and the fact that gradually and this is always not an easy process to pull them aside, those who are for us, and cruelly at the same time, repress those who commit actions against Ukraine or indiscriminately record 6 million of our citizens. into Russian agents and bastards who go their own way. You have to be a complete something, state level, in order to first pass such laws. And secondly, to approve them still. Why? Because when a citizen or person knows that the state will punish him for, well, I guess that was the interview. Yeah, so there's Arestovich. I think that was probably the real reason why he was canned from the Zelensky regime. Speaking facts, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, he's kind of speaking facts there. I never thought I'd say Alexei Arestovich is speaking facts, but boy, oh boy. Now, the question is, why? The question is, why? After months and months and months and months of this going on, why? Why, after almost a year of this and multiple years of serving in that position for Zelensky, is he saying this? Why is he telling the truth about the apartment building and the KH-22 being hit by an anti-missile defense system and blowing up and falling onto the building? Why now? Could it be that Alexei Arestovich is trying to find some sentiment amongst the Ukrainian population, or what will remain of it, for an upcoming presidential election, or to have, he sees the writing on the wall and he's trying to, make sure that he doesn't end up at a Nuremberg 2.0 in the near future? Is he a rat jumping off of a sinking ship? Reasonable questions to ask. Thanks for watching that episode of The Dive. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, comment below, and be sure to share this video with your friends. Also, my YouTube channel has now been permanently demonetized by YouTube because of the truth that we tell here. For that reason, I'm asking you to join as a supporter on my Locals community, which you can find linked below in the description of this video or in the comment section. When you join as a donor on Locals, you get access to my weekly private live streams, all of my private content, and the opportunity to ask questions to the guests that I bring here on our show, such as Glenn Greenwald, Colonel Douglas McGregor, and Ron Paul. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. I'll see you back here next time.